Hey, what's up? I'm Hype. I play games, make games, and everything in between. This week I've been going to Rockefeller Center in New York City to get to know HypeHype a little bit better. I am new to HypeHype, their wiki resource editor helps a good introduction. You can make games on your iPad or mobile phone with no code. If you're new to HypeHype, check out my other videos where I explain about HypeHype, making and playing some games. If you like this kind of video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification as I put out videos making and playing games. Start off, this scene is just a dude on an island. He can move around and jump. Hitting the logic button and we can see all the assets in this world. The biggest first step over here is to slide this over and make sure you have the ability to copy and utilize the snapping modes. Copy is great if you want to take everything you see in one hype. You can hit copy and then go into a brand new hype, slide over the icon and hit paste all that stuff into a new hype. The color doesn't translate well, you can just add the colors later. Let's take a look at the wiki editor help, and this is what we will be going over today. Welcome to HypeHype Editor Wiki, the place to get HypeHype Editor help with tools, descriptions, examples, tutorials, and more. This ever-expanding document aims to provide hype creators with all the help they need to excel at using the editor, easily accessible at the tap of a finger without leaving the app. You can access the wiki at any time while in the editor by tapping on the question mark icon. In addition to the help icon in the main editor heads-up display, you will find additional icons throughout the editor that will take you directly to the wiki entry for the tool or feature they are associated with. Here they have an example where there's a question mark next to a collision trigger. Clicking that question mark will take you to the collision trigger description within wiki. This document is always in development and consistently updated as HypeHype is in early access, so there are some bugs, issues that arise. Be sure to also check out the Discord channel where they have lots of information and you can talk to other creators, get help, feedback, bug reports, and asset requests, tech discussions, and a whole bunch of other things. Let's take a look at the editor general controls. The first thing we have is select. This is pretty straightforward. You can select an object and you tap outside to deselect an object. Next we have multi-select. You can do this a multitude of ways. You can tap a blank space and then tap the objects you want, and this will select multiple objects. And you can move these objects around. To move within HypeHype, one finger and drag. This is moving up and down, left and right. If you want to rotate, have two fingers and then just move the fingers accordingly. You can see by doing this, we are moving very slowly. We can move quickly if we wanted to, and then to zoom in, pinch out, and pinch in to zoom out. Hamburger Menu, which is here to the top left. It looks like a hamburger. This is brand new on this update. It's really exciting. It has all the items in one section. We can see all these different options. I wish the UX was a little bit better, but again, HypeHype is on early access. I suspect they will make this smoother day by day. The first thing we have over here on the top left is the editor options. These are presets. Presets provide pre-made editor and hype settings for different game types. These include editing plane, camera, and gizmos that can affect both how the editor control works while editing and how the gameplay camera will behave when playing. Presets can also be edited from this menu. Tap presets to open preset editor. For more on creating and editing presets, visit the editor options. Oh, here's some editor presets. It looks like more specific controls if you want to edit this editor preset. Lock into different planes depending on the game type. Editing plane position, the camera. Right now it looks like the camera is set to top down, however, and gizmo is set to 2D. I'm suspecting this is gizmo. Let's see what we got here in the editor options. We got default, side scroller, top down. Presets provide some pre-made editors and hype settings for different game types. It looks like we can create new presets, rename the presets, delete them, select presets, editing plane position, camera, and gizmo. Select the type of gizmo preset to use. Next is snapping. This is one that I need to get better at using when making games. You can have objects snap together, snap to grid, snap to the edges, snap where the objects physically collide. Let's try to find a good example where the snapping would come into play. Here we have Dungeon Dice by Shogun. Right now I just want to add some more chairs, have those snap around the table. Let's go here, snap edges, grab a chair, duplicate it. You can see it it is being placed accordingly. Let's duplicate that one. And now the table has plenty of chairs for everyone. And we can see, oh, looks like some of these chairs are a little bit too high. We can just move it down, and there they snap just like that. Here we have free movement. Freely moves objects with no snapping. Snap edges. Objects will snap to the edges of other objects. This only snaps the position. It will not snap the rotation of the object. Snap to grid. Objects will snap to a grid based on a global coordinates. Great for organizing logic nodes. Physical collision. Objects with physical collision will not be able to pass through other objects with physical collision while being moved around. This is great for placing objects flush with the ground or other objects without having their physical collisions intersecting. The snapping is super useful. Editor presets, that is a little bit more advanced at the moment. Next we got the HypeHype settings. HypeHype settings will allow you to manage a number of options and elements that are shared throughout your hype. Manage a variety of general settings for your hype, including orientation and start behavior. Jump into the setting wiki. Here we have the primary orientation, landscape behavior, and tap to start. Most games on HypeHype are designed for portrait. I generally keep it at cut portrait whenever I make a level. That being said, it is possible to have games be played on both portrait and landscape. For this, let's just go to a game that I am currently working on. This one is called Banana Run. Got this banana and he just basically runs, and we have to try to make sure he doesn't get hit. Like that. Right now we are actually playing in landscape. I'm gonna move it to the side, and now it's in portrait. In portrait you see less than you do on landscape. We can set expand portrait or cut portrait. Here we can see landscape behavior, how the image adjusts when switching between landscape and portrait. You can choose to crop the image or have it expand to fill the screen. How these options will look depend on the primary orientation. Overall, I recommend just keeping it in portrait mode, as that's generally how people play games. However, if you do have a game that is on landscape, cut portrait works better. Tap to start. This also depends on your game. You can even build this into your game by using the nodes. Next we have the environment. Let's take a look at that a little bit more. A lot of cool stuff going on here. We have the ground type, which for most games is set to infinite plane, world bottom, destroy, out of bounds, ground material, sky and fog, and gravity. So let's go here and check it out for Banana Run. Height map is a cool one that just adds waves to your game. This level, as we can see, we don't need height map. I have a good example of a game with height map. It's more of a painted scenery. Here we can see I got animals all hanging out, and there's hills with grass. And this uses height map. Next we got the world bottom. It's set to -3. And we can move the bottom just by sliding the scale over to the left, or raise it by moving it to the right. Destroy out of bounds, objects get destroyed automatically. Next we got the ground material. Green is not in use, and this is the default material. This is a collection of all the physical materials. This is actually pretty cool. All these materials have different properties such as density, restitution, friction, and all kinds of cool properties that can be adjusted. The different ground types that we have: infinite plane, empty, and height map. Cool thing about the height map will be based on a black and white noise map that determines the distribution of the height in the terrain. These options allow you to adjust the noise as a map, as well as how high the height map will translate into terrain. These parameters allow you to adjust the size of your height map and the height of the hills. These parameters will allow you to scale the noise map, which will adjust the width and length of the hills and the heights. These parameters will let you further adjust the noise map to adjust the distribution of the hills in the height map. Go ahead and create a new height with the height map. Okay, looks like all the cool stuff is currently below the hills. We're going to use area select, grab everything and move it on up. We got these objects. Go ahead and grab these, hold and tap. And let's move this up as well. Looking good. Maybe move that guy up a little bit more, that tree up a little bit more. Here we got the height map. When editing the height map, you have to make the changes, then save them, then reload the height. Let's go ahead and make some of these changes. I kind of want big hills, so let's try that. And we'll hit save as draft. Now let's exit out, confirm. Here we go, zoom up. Okay, the hills are definitely bigger than they were before. They're higher. Let's go back, let's make some more changes. Let's see if we can scale this up, increase some of this noise, save it. I'm just making random changes. This is for testing purposes. Okay, cool, let's exit. Let's go back in, see what it looks like. Now we have more rolling plains, trees, we can see that everything has gone up a lot higher, covering the bottom of the trees. This is hype map play. We can run along the hills. There's hills off into the sunset. Next we got the gravity, which will set the overall power for gravity in the hype. This will affect all physical objects with dynamic physics. Negative values will pull objects towards the ground. Positive values will pull objects up into the sky. Gravity can be further manipulated for individual materials in physical materials. That's really important to know. There are some games where gravity switches from up to down, and they do those changes by making edits in the physical materials. World bottom bound, the slider will determine where the world bottom of your hype is placed based on a global Y coordinate. The easiest way to adjust the world bottom is to set the camera canvas type to infinite plane and slowly drag the slider up and down. You will be able to see the ground rise or lower based on the inputs. We should have it destroyed out of bounds, and then little dude jumps. He gets destroyed. Next we have the materials. Materials can only be applied to the hype map. With these two options, you can select visual and physical materials for the hype map from the hype's library of materials. For more information on creating and using materials, check out visual material wiki and physical material wiki. Sky and fog. When using infinite plane or empty ground, types of colors can be edited by editing the sky and fog setting. The world tab has 3 submenus. Select from a list of preset visual settings, or create your own preset with the plus icon in the upper right hand corner. In the color menu, creators can customize and select presets. There are 4 different colors that can be changed: sky color, fog color, ground color, and shadow color. Tap the color preview to bring up the color picker. Let's go here, select sky and fog, and let's go ahead and change the world a little bit. Currently I'm editing in landscape mode on my iPad, but the color button, if I try to select it, it will try to change the name of the color, which is a bug that I'll report on the Discord channel. So to fix that, I'm going to go ahead and rotate it to landscape. Let's get a dark purple for the ground. Sky, I want to be a little bit of a hot pink. For the fog, let's go blue. From here we can also just change some of these colors. It's pretty fun to create a different color world. To do this, tap on the material objects here and then select the color you want. Very straightforward. Next, go to fog values, and we can change this so that the fog ends further away or have it close. This is a really cool feature and makes the gameplay a lot of fun, as we can see the fog in the distance. Look at those trees disappear in the fog. Pretty cool. Now let's check out the visual materials. Visual materials are used by objects in HypeHype and determine the object's color and other visual properties. Visual materials can be assigned to an object from the quick details panel. This is what we were using before when we were changing the colors of the trees. The material component has 4 material slots, but not all objects will use all 4 material slots. Visual materials can be managed from the visual material panel under the world menu. So let's go take a look at that. Visuals. Here we have all the different visual materials, and we can add more different colors by selecting the plus button, and we can go in here and we can just change this to whatever we want, like a hot pink with a little bit of a blue diffuse, making it a little bit like a hot pink purple. We can even change it so that the shadows look different. Next we have the physical materials. Physical materials can be applied to objects in your hype. The physical materials give the object physical properties like weight and surface friction. Changes how physical objects behave. They can be assigned to objects from an object's physical component. Physical materials can be managed from the physical materials panel under the world menu. Here are some examples of the fall to ground, bouncy, light, or heavy. Depending on the game you're making, you might want some objects to be bouncy while other objects to be heavy to make a cool gameplay effect. Physical materials on an object can be changed in the details menu or of the physical components. From here, if we wanted to add a physical component to these, we could make them heavy and maybe put this one up like this, rotate it at an angle, make it a dynamic object, turn the player around, flip the camera, and look at that tree fall. It's a heavy tree. Go back, change the physics to bouncy. and we can see now that tree is bouncing. Next we got the UI colors. It's pretty straightforward. Colors can be managed from the color panels under the world menu. Creating new colors by tapping the plus icon in the upper right. Tap a color from the list gives you few options. Tap the name to change the name of the color. Tap the trash can icon to delete the color. Use the color picker to change colors. Colors are used in the details menu of the components that support colors such as text and button components. That's basically what we were doing earlier. We go to visuals, we have the colors. If you want to create a new one, we can just copy it and use this as a base. This pointer in the middle is what the color will actually be. So let's go into this dark green, and the diffuse is purple, so it looks a little weird, so let's make it a little dark like over here. Let's go back, make this more green. And there's also additional features such as rim and shininess. I find it's best to just move these around. You can tap on this cube, turn into a sphere that is moving to get a better idea of what everything will look like in the game itself. Let's go back to the colors. We can call it grassy green. Change all of these. Very cool. Next we got the particle effects, which has some of the coolest features in HypeHype. I would recommend spending days in particle effects. They're really cool. Be sure to check out other games on HypeHype like Space Raid, which is a great game. Amazing particles in that game. Here, this menu allows creators to manage and edit or create new particles for their hype. Particle effects are used by particle effect components in a hype. I made a game using a lot of cool particles that I got from other people, some that I made my own. So check out that video. You want to click on a particle to create a new particle to open the particle effects editor. There are 3 tabs in the particle effects editor, each holding a number of submenus and options that include general, visual, and motion. With the editor open, there will be a preview of the particle effect in the center of the screen above the menu. If the particle has a set duration, the preview can be activated with the play icon in the upper right menu. So that's pretty straightforward here. Let me just show you. We go here to effects and we can look at smoke puffs. Hitting this play button will show you what the smoke puff looks like. If we wanted to add another kind of visual like the heart, see how that looks. That's adorable. And maybe if you wanted to change the color, again, I would recommend spending as much time as you can in here because particles are just so much fun. And we can see those pink hearts right there. If you notice, this is puff and this is bits. Select a star sprite, change this color to blue. Tap the play button to take a look at the particle as it happens. Easy to learn, but it will take a long time to master. Next, we got the camera option. There's set camera, reset view, and thumbnail. Reset view will reset it to the view that the player will see when you hit play. Let's check out this game I've been playing around with. So if we're in the game and we're editing, we're like, okay, let's move this guy up over here, and we want to get to the screen that the player will see, we select reset view, and it'll take us back to this view. However, if we want to change the view, let's say maybe move it closer like this, we can set it to set camera view. Next, the thumbnail will take a picture of the play screen like this, and it will save it. When we go to save, this will show right over here the new thumbnail. However, I find the best way to actually make a thumbnail is to play the game. So you hit play, there's a speed counter over here. We can just move the speed counter fast or slow. This will help get the perfect gameplay that we are looking for right there, and then we can then take the thumbnail photo and it will save it for us. When we hit save, there we can see the new thumbnail. There is a white bar on the top and the bottom because I am on landscape using my iPad. When you do this, you want to be in portrait mode so that the image is saved properly and you don't have that weird white space. Next, we got this quick menu. The quick menu is brand new. You have to tap and slide. Then you can edit and you put more shortcuts into this. And if you wanted to move it over to the right, you just do this. You can take away spaces or add more spaces. Right now, let's keep it on the left and hit done. If you are new to HypeHype, you want to enable copy and snapping as soon as possible. That is some of the most useful features in HypeHype. Down here, we have add stuff. You can add assets, logic nodes, and instants. Let's take a quick look at that. Here are different assets. There's a lot of great pre-made assets that help make making a game a lot easier, as some of these already have their logic and physics defined in them. Coins, players where you can run and jump, hazardous spikes, pre-made objects like exploding bombs, coins, visuals, finishing areas, enemy characters. The visual has all the visual components, including the characters, landscapes, even tiles for tile mapping. A bunch of new particles were added in the latest updates, characters, symbols, and at the very bottom we see like mechanical objects. If you want to see the latest, be sure to go to the very top and select the dot dot dot, and you can see the latest objects. Here are the logic pieces. These are all the different nodes that are currently available in the game, with new nodes coming out all the time. As I'm still new to HypeHype, I'm still learning what most of these do, but I learn them little by little. I find that the most useful ones are both the particle, container, game end, force, transform. Vector transform is also a good one. The next cool thing is this search feature up here. This will let you search and see all the different nodes and logic pieces you have in your game. If you want to change the music, you can just quickly go to the music, find a node, and change the music. Sometimes you can have a node somewhere in the game and you don't know where it is because you've been making the game for days and you put the music in and you just can't find it. This search piece will come in handy. Lastly, we have the instance. This is very new. Instances can be a little bit complicated when you're new to HypeHype. Instance containers. Instance are a collection of components attached to an object that can be copied throughout your hype. Edits applied to the instance will also be applied to every copy of it in HypeHype. If you're making an obstacle course that has a hammer in it and you have multiple hammers, creating the hammer inside of an instance lets it so you can change the hammer in one place, and then the copy of the object will have the changes that are done in the original. Instance containers are good for creating objects that are repeated throughout a hype and have shared properties. For example, collectibles like coins. Instant containers can also be applied to objects that give that object the game logic in the container. The contents of an instance can be made visible or hidden in the editor by clicking hide show icon at the bottom of the screen where the instance is selected. And with the latest update of HypeHype, you can have multiple pure objects inside an instance. I think a pure object is just a simple object that does what it's told, nothing too complicated. The cool thing about that is being able to fit multiple objects in a single instance. This icon down here also helps when it comes to organizing. Next we got the test and save. Click the play icon to test your hype in the editor, ensure everything works as intended for publishing. Save opens the menu where you can save or publish the hype and manage the hype details. Next we have the select object tools. This is the detail panels where you can see if the object has an instance and it's got the basic colors. Next we have this icon over here. It's for glue, object link, edit mode, scale, rotate, and move. We got the advanced transform and object tool. I always like to have this advanced tool up because I like to know where my object is, and we can see that this will just move the object, this will rotate the object, and this will scale the size of the object. Now selecting on this circle causes everything to move, whereas then if you just want to move in the X or Y or Z, then you want to select the cone. Same thing for the rotate. This causes everything to rotate. However, if you just want it to rotate in one direction, you just select the disk and then the object will rotate in that specific X, Y, or Z. See down here, you can edit the number manually if you so wished. Same thing with the scale. You just wanted to move just one piece at a time, you can do it like that, or change the numbers down here. And now he's super skinny. Also, the undo button is super helpful when you make edits or changes and you're not sure exactly what you did. Hit the undo. So let's go through this to see if we're missing anything. We got the move, rotate, and scale. The wiki information is very thorough. I missed a lot of cool stuff that I didn't notice when I was first making a couple of games. Going back here now, this helps reinforce everything that I have already learned. This glue one, it glues one object to another object and keeps it to stick in place. For example, if we wanted to add an evil ghost, tapping these disk icons will move objects 90 degrees when it comes to the rotation. If we want this ghost olive, we can take this, use the glue icon, select it to the player, go ahead and change this color to like a pink. And now you can see that ghost dude is glued to to the main character. Handles, here are the objects. The red is for the x-axis, the blue is for the z-axis, and green is for the y-axis. You can see arrows for movement, circles for rotation, square for scaling, and with the circles you can tap on the discs to rotate an object automatically 90 degrees from where it was. Details panel, when any item is selected, its detail panel will appear in the upper right corner of the screen. Visual objects show the quick detail panel by default, while node objects will show the advanced detail panel. Switch between quick and advanced panel by tapping the top of the panel. Okay, so that's just this over here, that basic object. Okay, object tools, make a group of selected objects for the editor. Use or release them in group form. So if you have a group of objects, you can group them together. I haven't played around with this too much, but something like this object, these objects, then you can select group, and then they're all in a group, and you can move them together, ungroup them. This may be helpful for you. I haven't used that feature that much. Now that I know about it, I may use it more. Advanced transform. This is cool. The advanced transform is down here. I didn't even notice this. They have lock buttons on here. We can go here, zoom in, select that object, and we can actually lock it into place. I did not know about that. You grab it and you try to move the object, it stays in place. This is super handy, and I'm glad I made this video because I was not aware of that lock. And this could be used for many things. Like here, let's go ahead and select these bridges, this bridge, and oh, this one's actually already locked into place. Oh, you know what? It looks like it turns on the lock feature. I select this, I can turn off the lock features, and I can move things around. Just hit undo, and let's see if I select this. Okay, so now this is back to being unlocked. That is cool. I was not aware of these features. I've had issues in the past with things moving around, but now I know how the locking mechanism works. Very cool. We got transform types. Transform is based on the object's orientation. We got local, global, and camera transform. This is a little bit advanced. I usually don't mess with this. Then we got special editor features. This looks like a work in progress. Asset replace. This is pretty straightforward. You can just go find an object. Let's go to a new hype, and you can select the object. If you want that to be a completely different asset, let's say we want that to be a gorilla, just hit the button, and now we got a gorilla. Let's go here, and maybe we want it to be a big rock. We got a big rock. This is a great way to quickly change objects in your map if you've already have a lot of it built out and you just want to switch it from one bush to a tree or to just any random object. That is the easiest way to do it. Next, we got advanced details. Here we have an object. If we want to add something to this object, like a collision trigger and a game end, let's set it to green. Group object is green, collision trigger is green. On collision start, move it over here to game end, execute, go to game end, and we can do success. Let's go ahead to the main character, add an object color of green. If this character touches this rock, the game will be over. Head completed. Yay. You can even go in, select the object, add particles. Let's do a confetti blast. Go to the object, on collision trigger, collision start, on collision, particle effect, execute, on. Perfect, looking good. Next, the wiki talks about add-ons, instance, and containers. Add-ons hold and collect nodes and reference objects. Add-ons can be applied to any objects in the hype, giving that object the properties contained within the add-on. Here, they're showing an example of replacing the assets, which we've done. When it comes to add-ons, instance, and containers, check out the other hypes and games to see how they work. Selecting multiple objects, we went over that. Area select objects. This one is great. If you want to select everything, you just select the area pick and then move your mouse. Everything that is under the square will be selected, and then you can move things accordingly. Advanced details, selecting the objects. Okay, we did that with the collision trigger. Particle effects, definitely spend a lot of time in particle effects. Lastly, let's check out the light. So here we want to turn the logic on, and we can see this light. Notice the shadows, and we can rotate this light accordingly depending on how we want the shadows to look. Maybe we want the shadows going this way. So that's important to set up for the light. And the last last thing on the editor help is talking about the colors. The biggest thing when it comes to the color picker are the two small circles. One shows the current selected color as the other shows the previously used color. And if you wanted, you can grab their hex code number or their RGB and use those colors in another game. So let's just go look at these colors. So from here, if I wanted this, I can go ahead and copy, create a new color, go into ambience, select this image, hit delete, tap and paste, and we get that purple color. This is a good way to transfer colors that you like from one hype to another hype. I believe that is it for the editor overview. There's lots here. Be sure to read all this information again, watch this video a few times. Most importantly, play games, see how the components work, use the remix feature within HypeHype. It's super helpful. Learning does take time. I'm HypeC. If you like this kind of video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, stay safe out there and peace.